Hello guys, I'm ElfNet Gaming. Back on my bench here, I got some new radios in. Well, actually, these aren't new. These have been out a little while, but they are new coming through here. I ordered them for a guy who, a ham radio friend of mine, who's looking for some simple to use radios. For him and his son. Now, they're both licensed. His son just got his tech license a couple of weeks ago. And they didn't want to go with like a full-on keypad radio. For use when they're out, I guess, camping or whatever they're doing. Excuse me. And forgive me, I literally just woke up about an hour ago. I did have my coffee, and I'm still waking up. For some reason, I've just been really lazy all morning. I've got a mountain of things I need to do. So yeah, trying to get motivated. But anyway, I'm gonna go and knock this video out. But anyway, I ordered these for them. They're really cheap. They're about, I don't know, about $18 a piece or so, $20 a piece. Oh, they're about right in about $40 for the pair, the high 30s. And there were two. They wanted a simple radio. So we're gonna open the box and see what it's like. Now I've already opened one, and it's here, and it's sitting on the charger over here. It says it's charged, and so I'm going to open this one. This is the box they come in, the Baofeng GT-1. Now they come in this, oh, excuse me, orange, red, and green, and I guess a black, maybe, I don't know. On the side, it's got the thing. I do know that this is the green, even though they didn't mark it. And it says the package contents. You get the radio, antenna, manual, the battery, the charger, belt clip, and a hand strap, which I haven't seen a hand strap. This one over here, it didn't have a hand strap in it. Interesting. So I don't know anybody that really uses the lanyard strap. I don't see one laying up here. Maybe it's in the box. I don't know. I've already went through the box. Everything's there. But the strap, hand straps. So we'll open it. I guess the back of the box. Features to add a new circuit to eliminate noises caused by the transition between power on to off, leveraging half duplex FM voice RTX upgraded chip superior. This is all translated from Chinese. You can pause it and read it, maybe. See what it says if you're interested in that. It does have the certifications, the FCC, the Recycle Me, the box. Obviously, the Postal Service has done its part in the shipping by crushing the box, which doesn't surprise me at all. So we're going to open the box and we'll see what we got. Right off, we have our instruction manual. This is the thing that you need to read to learn how to use radio, so you don't send me messages on how to use radio. It will tell you everything that should be in the box, safeties and warnings, unpackaging and checking for all the equipment. We don't have a lanyard, of course. It's supposed to, but for some reason it doesn't. I don't think that's really important at this point, but it'll tell you how to put the battery on, how to charge it, how to put the antenna on, installing the belt clip, how to use it, speaker mic, accessories, operating, all the operations for the radio, transmitting, receiving, squelch level, programming, all that stuff. It's all in the book. You do need a programming cable, and you do need the software to program this radio. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do not use this radio with the channels provided, because they may or may not be legal to use in your area. Some countries, some parts of the 70 centimeter band are reserved for like an FRS type operation, and just always reprogram these if you can. You do need the programming cable. And on the last page of the English side, you have the specifications. 400 to 470 megahertz, less than 5 watts, channel capacity is 16, operating voltage 3.7 volts. That is a lithium ion battery, so make sure you use the proper charger for that. You got the dimensions of what that size, and the weight is 180 grams. So it's also got a little troubleshooting thing and yada yada, and it's even got a warranty card back here. And then we go into looks like German. It's got several languages in it. This radio was by Sonic Baofeng, so that's the manual. Now this little antenna. Now this is the stock antenna that comes with the radio. It's just the UHF 400 to 480 volts, 400 to 480 megahertz UHF. And this is fine if you just want to communicate a little ways away. If you're trying to do any long range communication, then you need to get something like what I have on this. This is this stock Wouxun antenna, but something longer. You might as well ham it up with a ham antenna that's going to be long and dangly like that. So they do work well. They do work well. I'm not a big fan of the long dangly antennas, but I got it on that one because they do range with that. They do work well. So I'll give it that. It comes with this little earpiece deal. It's the Kenwood Pen Bi-Pen type. I'm not going to take it out of the bag. It's just that thing that goes around your ear, and it's got a mic and a button on this piece here. That little Secret Service type thing. It's got a charger. Just a real charging cradle. This thing looks like it's been beaten around a little bit, but Postal Service, man. You know, we'll go on and get the charger out, get it plugged in, because I'm going to need it. It's got a... This is the US plug, and they actually started putting the holes in this. In the US sockets, some of them have little indentions where they go in. You plug them in, these little divots will drop into these holes and hold this plug in. Whereas, where did it go? This one. The one on my Wouxun charger doesn't have the holes. This thing here has a tendency to falling out of the socket. I was actually thinking about drilling holes in that. Whatever. These, when you order them, they will match up the plug type for your country. So UK, you'll get that big, giant, gnarly thing. Europe, you'll get that bi-pen round thing. Now, it is worth mentioning that I do not like this wire. This is a very flexible, very small wire, but this charger's not pulling any kind of amps either, so I guess it'll work. You know, the Chinese are notorious for using underrated wiring on stuff, so. And then we come to the radio. The belt clip is loose in the package. Get the radio out. I'll go on and put the antenna on. We're going and install the antenna. So this is the radio. This is the green one. It's got the soft button here. The other radio doesn't have a soft button. It's got a hard button on it. Slightly different colored green. That button's hard plastic. Where this button here is a soft rubbery plastic. But it's was okay in the hand. It's got your LED light, your 16-channel rotary encoder, 16 position. Antenna's mounted, volume on and off. Here's our belt clip. Screws are already in the back of the radio. Now first you're going to need some type of Phillips head screwdriver. Let's go and get the battery out, get this box out of the way because this desk. Now, you want to put on this belt clip before you put the battery on, of course. If not, you're going to be fighting with that spring, and it'll just make it harder than what it needs to be. Now, a magnetic screwdriver is ideal for this. If you don't have a magnetic screwdriver, you can put the screwdriver on a magnet and do what I call letting it charge up. And you kind of just want to insert screw. You'll notice this clip has a hole and then a slot. You want to do the slotted one kind of first, but don't tighten the slotted one down all the way, because we're going to have to position it. Now I could use a smaller screwdriver here. Since this thing's magnetized, it'll hold the screw, and we'll want to put in both. Once we get the one I'm doing now, we're going to wrench it down, tighten it down. Just snug it down. Don't really wrench on it, and then we'll tighten that one down. This screwdriver is a little big for this. I do have another one, but make sure you got something that's small enough to get in there, but the head is big enough for the screw, not too small. You end up stripping the head out. Excuse me. Now we're going to put on the battery. It's got these pins on the top. This is a lithium-ion battery, 1500 milliamp hour, 5.5 watt hour. The model number is BL1. It's a 3.7 volt battery. You do need the proper charger for this. You can't just use any old charger. There's, lithium batteries. You gotta, they're very particular on how they're charged. Power on. One. And the voice prompt is up. And frequency counter. Now, I also want to note that the room in this shop is RF isolated. The only way that RF is getting out of this room is through a coaxial cable. Now, I do have several heliax lines coming in, and you hear a radio in the background, which is the railroad. It's hooked to one of those cables. Everything else is isolated. All the other lines coming in are terminated, so no RF can get in and out. So I can safely transmit on this radio and nothing will leave this room. Okay, if you could find any heart to forgive me for the shaky camera. I'm having to hold a cell phone in my hand to do this. Coffee is kicked in. I'm going to transmit. 437 150 is channel 1, so that's our frequency on channel 1, so we'll work with that. Alright, so we established that 437.150 is frequency on channel 1, and I'm going to assume that channel 1 is the same on this radio. And it is. Yep, that happened. Testing, 1 2 3 1 2 3. So that's got a pretty good response. So they do talk together, but I'm going to reprogram these, so I'm going to have to cut off the camera once again. You're just going to see a bunch of cuts and jump cuts. For me, this is taking about an hour or so to do, so I will be right back. The next thing you're about to see is my computer screen and the program for this radio, and we'll walk you through all of that. So I will be right back. Hello and welcome back. I am on my computer, as you may have guessed. I am in the program called ZT-V68. This is the factory CPS for the Baofeng GT-1 or the Pofung GT-1 radio. What I want to do is kind of walk you through this. I do highly recommend that you use the factory CPS if this is your first time reading and writing the radio, and the reason is I've already read the other radio and I've saved the factory image off of that radio. The radio I have plugged up now is the new one that I unboxed, and we're going to read that one out. And I'm thinking that the code plugs will more or less be the same. I'll be able to look and see if it is, but I'll probably save it too. The reason you want to save these is in case if something goes weird using chirp, you can always revert back here and reload the original code plug for the radio and restore the radio. It's always a good idea. So first thing we're going to do, now forgive me, I'm going to have to move some dialogues into frame as I've blown this up on OBS so you can see it. It's very small on my screen. So it's got it in this corner here. We want to go to setup first. We want to check our communications port. For me, COM7 is the correct port. Let me move this in there. This will pop up. Sorry. COM7 is my port. When you hit the setup COM port, you go there. You'll select the COM port that your programming cable is on. COM1 I know is used by something else, so 7 is my only option left. Your port may vary. You may have port 4, port 20, who knows. Make sure that the radio is plugged in and turned on before you read the radio, or it's obviously not going to work. Do not ever plug in or unplug programming cables from a radio that is powered on. Always turn them off. With that, let's see. We're going to go program, read from the radio. Another dialog comes up. You hit OK. Turn on the radio. That's telling me I didn't have it on. Reading is complete. And here's our code plug, the factory image code plug. Now I'm going to save this. GT-1. This is the second radio. Okay. Now, by looking at this code plug, and forgive me if I'm like coughing and sneezing and things, the allergies have been kicking up again outside for some reason. You just have to overlook all that. I'm not going to edit. I'll try to edit a lot of those out. But, yeah, it's Louisiana, man. It's Louisiana. I'm used to the desert out west, and this is really, really taking its toll on me. Anyway, if you look at this code plug, you will realize down towards the bottom is the reason why you need to reprogram this radio. If you are in Europe or the UK, some of the 446 and 447s or whatever will fall into that PRS band, I guess is what it's called. It's like an FRS band in the US here, but for them. These radios are not legal to use in FRS, PRS, GMRS, or the commercial band. And like I said at the end of the video, the last segment of the video, I'll go into that a little more. Channels 13, 14, and 16 are definitely no-nos. They are only here for testing purposes, of course. They're not meant to be used. The others, if you're licensed ham in the US, you could use these others. Just make sure you're not going into a repeater on some of the higher, like the 449s. But I would highly recommend that you change this. So what I'm going to do is create a new file. And I'm going to go back to setup, and I'm going to make sure the model information is correct. Come on, mouse. In which it's not. It's got a split of 450 to 470. Well, I know the radio is 400 to 470, so we'll change that. And then we will program in. Sorry about that little cut there. I had to go and check on something outside. Anyway, we're going to program a frequency in this radio. So I'm going to program in. Let me make sure I'm on the right thing here. We're going to go 442.1125 just because it's a split and we can. As you see, you put in the RX, the transmit will automatically go in, and the rest of the fields will autofill to just defaults. The QT DQT is the decoder. This is your receive PL or DPL, or CTCSS if you would. You can enter that in manually. I'll enter 127.3, enter, or you can double click this and you'll get this channel tone up. Oh, I'm moving the wrong thing. Hang around. Sorry. You'll get this chart, and this will list CTCSS, your DCS, and your inverted. So we want here, and we want 127, and you can put these in by double clicking, and that will fill that in. I go narrowband. It's a habit. And that's basically it. Now, being ham operators, you will know, and I know, being a radio technician, RF engineer myself, will know that this channel is a simplex channel. It's a direct radio to radio. It's not a repeater. And UHF repeaters are typically +5 of the receive. That's +5 megahertz. So let's say I had a frequency of 444.5. Okay. I want this to go as a repeater. What I would do would be add +5. Well, we know that's going to be 449.5. Now, this is not an actual repeater where I'm at. I'm just giving an example how to program a repeater. Most repeaters will have a PL tone, and you can select your tone. I'm going to select a digital tone of 23. Same here. And I'm going to make it narrow. And that's it. That's a repeater. Now, that frequency there is not a repeater here. It might be in your area or whatever. This is just an example. So there's that. And you'll continue this process on through to 16 or however many you want, because the channels aren't programmed. The radio will just beep at you. Next thing you might want to look at is the function setting. This dialog comes up. This will allow you to change your squelch level, your side key. That is not the LED activator. You can change the side key to monitor, high, low power, or an emergency alarm. I have it set to monitor. Timeout timer, it's a good idea to set it 90 instead of 180. Scan option is off. Voice, I'm going to turn the voice prompt off, and that should be English. I don't know why it's a Chinese there. It's supposed to be English. Incept alarm is off. That's the emergency alarm function. FM tuner, it doesn't even have that, so don't even worry about that. Your Vox features are here if you want to set up Vox, and you have your things like battery save and some other stuff here you can set up. Hit OK. We're now ready to program this radio. I'm only doing the 2 channels just for the programming demonstration purposes. And we'll go here to program, write to radio. Our dialog pops up, right there to radio. Hit OK. And you'll get a confirmation writing is completed. And that's all it is to it. We're programming this radio. Now, there's not much else I can say on this program. There's a batch channel setting, edit, frequency steps. Personally, I would set this to 12.5. This sets all your steps for all of the channels. This is like your defaults when they fill in, I'm assuming. I don't mess with this. You guys can mess with this. I don't mess with it. Yeah, but that's that. And that has just changed everything to 300 megahertz. Yeah, this radio won't operate on 300 megahertz, just saying. You don't want that. So anyway, I'm going to cut the video and go back to the bench and wrap this up. Okay, and welcome back to the bench. We programmed the radio. Now I went on and I took the belt clip off of this radio because I forgot to show you the back of the radio before. I showed you the battery and all that, but not the back of the radio. I do have the watt meter out at the dummy load, the wire, and this adapter that I can get on the antenna port with. We'll do that in a minute. I want to go over the back of the radio right quick before I forget. It does have the Baofeng sticker. It's got CE certifications and the FCC certification. It's got all the information here, model number, power, voltage, frequency, and it's got an FCC ID of ZP1PF-GT1. ZP1 is not a commercial designator. ZP5 is the commercial designator for Baofeng. ZP1. This radio is not a Part 90 radio. It's not a Part 95 radio. And I can't stress this enough, that if you buy these, you are not legally, technically allowed to use these in FRS or the commercial band any place outside of the 70 centimeter ham radio band, even if you have a commercial license. Now, I'm not really sure why these don't have a Part 90 certification. They probably didn't pass emissions or something. I don't know. I don't work for the FCC. Down here, if you read this, device must be restricted to occupational use to satisfy FCC, therefore exposure compliance. See owner's manual for shipping operating requirements. That means that, yes, this is essentially an amateur radio. Probably didn't pass the emissions to get Part 90. If you need a Part 90 Baofeng, the BF888S is a very similar radio. It's got 16 channels, LED. It's the only thing is it's not got the green buttons, and it's got Part 90 certification on it. So I'll put the battery back on. I'll put the belt clip on off camera. I'm done with it. Put the battery back on. I'll turn it on. Now it just beeps. There's no voice prompt. And make sure it's on frequency. We're going to bring you over to the frequency counter here. Look at it, and I'll transmit. There's that one, channel 2. There's that one. Okay. Alright, so we're on frequency. I think my frequency counter needs to be calibrated a little bit. Might do that later. It's about a kilohertz off or so or less. I'm going to turn it off, remove the antenna. Now I don't expect a lot of watts, maybe 2 watts out of this thing at most. Put on this adapter. And I'll get my cable here. This cable, I'm not really sure where it came from, but it's going to have to work. It's a big piece of RG8 with a TNC on one end and a PL259 on the other, and it's the only thing I have at hand right now to get into the watt meter. So I'm just attaching that together like so. Make sure it's all tightened down good and tight here. Watt meter is on 5 watts. Turn it back on. And this radio throws about 1.5 watts. Now I'm going to factor in and for the cable loss from the adapters and other things going on here that are dodgy. A 1.5 watts is good enough. You know, I don't expect much from a 3-volt battery anyway. So there, you got that. I don't have the service monitor here. It's not here. It's nobody's using it right now. I would check the receive sensitivity, but I don't have that on hand. So you're just gonna take my word for it. The radio does work. Mileage will vary with these. So keep that in mind. Anyway, I'm going to put the belt clip back on and wrap this up. You know, what are my thoughts on this radio? For the price, for the low price of about $18 a piece or whatever it was that we paid for, they're not too bad. They're small. And, they're easy to use. Programming was easy. I was using the factory software, although you could use Chirp. I don't like using Chirp, especially on initial programming, like first read and writes. I do not do that. I do not advise doing that. I always advise using the factory software if you can initially on these, on any radio. That way, in case something mucks up, you have a factory image you can restore. Always save the factory image. What was in the radio when you got it. And always try to use the factory software on these. thoughts is, well, it's got features. I guess if you're into prepping, this would be good. I don't think it's waterproof, though. It does have the useful LED light. It is 16 channels. It will scan. It lightweight lithium-ion battery, so you know what to expect there. About 1.5 watts, 2 watts. Again, mileage may vary. Ones that you order may do 3 watts, may do 4 watts. Who knows? Yeah, Baofeng GT-1. Again, I'm going to say this again. Not a Part 90, not a Part 95 radio. It is not legal to use an FRS, GMRS, or commercial. However, you buy these radios, all I'm doing is advising not to operate them on those frequencies. You, the end user, have the ultimate say in what you do with your radios, okay? I'm not your daddy. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to advise against or for something, and I'm advising against using them outside of the 70 centimeter band. If you're in Europe, be advised, take note of the rules regarding the PRS band versus 70 centimeters there. And this is why we always reprogram these radios when we get them initially and don't just use them out of the box. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up the video now. I am Elf with ElfNet Gaming, and this has been the Baofeng GT-1 handheld review. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, please let me know in the comments below. However, I do curate the comments. I monitor them because reasons. There are people that like to just be idiots in the comment section, and I'm trying to keep things more or less family friendly here, and I don't want vile comments. So if you got anything constructive, anything useful, if you've learned anything, if you own the radios, let me know what you think, your experiences on these radios. However, if you're coming there to troll, to say, oh, I'm gonna use these wherever, that's your business. We don't need to know the criminal activity that you're gonna do with the radio, okay? All I am doing is reviewing and advising not to use them here and that they only be used there. You do what you want. Just keep the comments to yourself. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys to it. Be sure to like and subscribe. I do have a Patreon. I do have other things in the About section you can look up on the channel. There's Twitter, there's VidMe, all that stuff. And with all that, guys, I will see you in the next video.